So this is my project. I'm gonna start from the top, which is this picture. One is the clavicle. The clavicle is known as the collarbone. The clavicle braces the shoulder joint against the sternum. Literally, it's articles with the scapula, which is right there. Number 2 is the acromioclavicular joint. Is a joint in the shoulder where two bones meet, collarbone and clavicle, which is right there. Number 3, the scapula. The scapula are also known as the shoulder blade. The scapula are flat triangle bones at the lateral angle of the scapula. The glenoid cavity articulates within the head of the humerus to form a shoulder blade, which is pointing to right there. From this one, number 1 is the femur, the longest, strongest, heaviest bone in the body, which is right there. And 2, the patella, located between the medial and lateral condyle anteriorly. It articulates with the posterior surface of the patella. Number 3, tibia, the largest of two bones of the leg, articulates with the distal femur two leg bones. 4, fibula, slender lateral bone in the leg that does not bear much weight but provides muscle attachment sites. And here's number 1, the tarsals is the ankle bone right there. The metatarsals, foot bones right under phalanges, which is right there. Number 3 is phalanges, fingers and toes, which is here. And I'm gonna start from the top, which is number 1. It points to right here, which is the iliac crest. The iliac crest is the thick, curved upper border of the ilium, the most prominent bone of the pelvis. 2, anterior inferior iliac spine is bony prominence on the anterior border of the ilium, forming the superior border of the table. I don't know how to say that. Number 3, anterior superior iliac spine is the uppermost projection of the anterior board of the ala of ilium, situated at the junction of the crest and anterior border, which is right here, and it points to right there. Number 4 is ischial spine, from the posterior border of the body of ischium. There extends backwards and thin and pointed triangular emends the ischial spine, which points to right here. Number 5, the acetabulum, a cup-shaped depression in the mid-outer pelvis known as the hip. This is the socket of the ball and socket joint of the hip, which is right there. It points to over there. Number 6, the pelvic brim. The pelvic brim is defined by aligned forms by the upper margin of the pubic symphysis anteriorly and the spexial line of the pubis, the arcuate line of the ilium, which points to right here. Number 7, pubic symphysis is a secondary cartilaginous joint located between the left and right pubic bones near the midline of the body, which points to right here in the middle of the hip. Number 8 is ischiapubic ramus, the portion of the bones that possesses forward from ischial tuberosity to join the inferior ramus of the pubic bonitas is ischiapubic ramus. Number 9, the obturator foramen, which points to right here, up there. This is the ischiapubis rhombus too. The obturator foramen. The obturator foramen is a large opening in the hip bone situated below and interior to the acetabulum. 10 is the coccyx. The coccyx is also known as the tailbone. Tailbone is a small triangular bone resembling the shattered tail located at the bottom of the spine, which goes right here. The ischial spine, a thin pointed triangular immense that proves from the dorsal border of the ischium and gives attachment to the gemella superior on its external surface. 15. The alley sacrum. The alley sacrum is the upper part of the lateral part of sacrum, lateral to the first sacral. The sacral vertebrae, which points to right here. This is the ala sacrum. This is the sacral promontory, which points to right here. And this is the sacrum, which points to right there. Number 16, the iliac fossa, the curved surface of the largest pelvic bone. The sacroiliac joint. The sacroiliac joint link your pelvis on the lower spine, and they're made up of the sacrum. And which points to right here, that's the sacroiliac joint. This is the iliac fossa. Now, number 1 for this picture, which is number 1, the sesamoid bones, a little bone that is a bend in a joint capsule of tendons. Example, the kneecap, which number 1, which points to right here. Number 2, the trapezium bone in the wrist that articulates with the metacarpal bone of the thumb, which is right here, points to right there. Number 3, the trapezoid. The trapezoid bone is one of the 8 carpal bones that forms part of the wrist joint, which goes right here. The xiphoid bone. The xiphoid is the largest bone of the proximal row of carpal, which goes right here. Number 5, the radius. The radius is a lateral bone. The proximal part of the radius has a disc-like head that articulates with the scapulatum of the humerus. The distal end of the radius widens and forms primary articulation with the carpal bones of the wrist. Because of the proximal articulation, the radius can cross over the front of the ulna when the hand is turned from one side to another, which is 5. Wait, let me find it. Well, it goes right here, which goes right here. The ulna is the medial bone of the forearm, the proximal end of the olecranon process, which is point to the elbow. The ulna is right here. 17, the lunate. The lunate is a carpal bone that forms of the wrist joint and the ischiated center of the proximal row of carpal bone. The crescent shape resembling of the crescent moon, which is number 7, which goes right here in the middle. Number 8 is the trochanterian bone. The trochanterian bone is one of the 8 carpal bones that forms part of the wrist joint triangular bones of the cuneiform bone, which is number 8, which goes right here. Number 9 is the capita. Number 9 is the capitate. The capital bone is the largest of the carpal bone in the thumb on the hand, which goes right here. Number 10, hamate. The hamate is a wedge-shaped carpal bone located outside area of the wrist, which goes right there. The metacarpal bones are the analogous to the metatarsal bones in the foot, which is 10, which is 11, 12, 13, and 14, which goes to here. Number 15 is the distal. The phalanges further from the wrist. Middle, the phalanges between the proximal and distal phalanges. 17, the proximal, the phalanges closest to the wrist, which all of these goes into this finger. Okay, now for this one, Number one, the talus, the large bone in the ankle that articulates with the tibia of the leg and the gait of the eom and navicular of the bone, which goes right here. Number one, the navicular. The navicular is a boat-shaped bone located on the top inner side of the foot, just above the transverse, which goes right here. The three, the intermediate cuneiform is located between its two counterparts and is articulates with the second metatarsals, which goes right here. Number four is located around the middle foot. It is shaped similarity to a wedge, which goes right there. Number five, calcaneus, the tarsal bone that is humans in the large bone of the heel, which goes right here. Number six, the cuboid. The cuboid is a large tarsal bone on the outer side and the foot in front of the calcaneus and behind the fourth and fifth metatarsal bones, which goes right here. Number seven, which is the metatars. Oh wait, number eight. Number seven is the lateral cuneiform, which goes right there, which is located between the two outer cuneiform bones and is intermediate size. Number eight is the metatars. In human, the fine metatars of the bones help form longitudinal arcos along the inner outer side of the foot, which goes right there. Number 9 and 9, 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11. The phalanges. The phalanges are comprised of proximal, middle, and distal groups. The proximal bone are located just below the knuckle, while the middle bones are located in the knuckles. The distal phalanges are the fingertips. Now for this one, number 1, the greater tubercle. The prominence of the upper lateral part of the end of the humerus that senses as the humerus that senses as the insertion for the supinaneous, infracutaneous, and teres minor. 2, lesser tubercle. The prominence of the upper anterior part of and the end of the humerus that serves as the intersection of the subcolons, which goes right here, and this is the greater tubercle. Number 3 is deltoid tuberosity. The deltoid is a triangular muscle with 3 attachment points: the humerus, the clavicle, and the scapula, which goes right here, which all of this. Number 4, the radial fossa, slight depression found in the humerus, the front part of the capitulum. It receives the anterior border and the head of the radius with the forearm is flexed. Number 4, which is radial fossa. 5, carotid fossa, a depression of the humerus into when the carotid process is when the arm is flexed, which goes right here. Number 6, capitulum. The capitulum of the humerus is a smooth rounded eminence of the lateral portion of the distal articulate surface of the humerus, which is right here. Number 7, the trochlea is an anatomical structure resembling palate, the articular surface and the medial or condyle of the humerus that articulates with ulna, which is right here. Number 8, the medial epicondyle. The medial epicondyle is the common origin of the forearm flexor and pronation muscle, which goes right here. Number 9, the deltoid. The deltoid tuberosity, a rough triangular bump on the outer side of the middle of the humerus that is cile intersection of the deltoid. Deltoid is number 9, right there. Number 10, radial groove. Radial groove, which passes diagonally down the bone and parallel to the sloping posterior margin, and deltoid tuberosity. The radial The radial nerve and the profunda branchial artery lie in this above, which is number 10, which goes right here. Number 11 is the interbuccular sobus, is the indentation between the greater lesser tuberosity of the humerus that launches bicep tendons. Number 12, anatomical neck. The anatomical neck of the humerus is obliquely directed, forming on the obtuse angle with the body of the humerus. 13, head of the humerus, the most proximal portion of the humerus, which forms a ball socket joint with the sternal cavity of the scapula, which both of these go right here. Number 14, the olecranon fossa, the to depression, the olecranon fossa, and behind and above the trochlea, and the carotid fossa in front of and above receive projection of the ulna as the elbow is alternately straightened and flexed, which goes right here. Number 15, the lateral epicondyle. There are body bumps at the bottom of the numeral called epicondyles, where several muscles in the forearm along begin their course, and the bony pump on the outside of the elbow is called the lateral epicondyle. 15, which is right here. 17, the distal radioulnar joint. The distal radioulnar joint is a vipal joint formed between the head of the ulna and the ulnar notch and the lower end of the radius. 17, the styloid process of the ulna. There are bony projection at the end of the ulna near your hand called the ulnar style process. 16 and 17, which is right here. Hold up. It was right here at the bottom. 18, the interosseous membrane is a fibrous tissue with an oblique orientation from the radius of the ulna. The ulna is the major bone of the forearm, the proximal end of the olecranon process, which is the point on the elbow. 18 and 19 go right here. 18 and 19. 20, proximal radioulnar joint. The radioulnar joint and the two locations in which the radius and ulna articulates in the forearm. And 21, the carotid process, the projection from the front of the ulna formatting parts of the articulation of the elbow. 20 and 21 go right here, which points to right here and here. 22 is the olecranon process of the ulna that forms of the outer bumps of the elbow and fits into fossa of the numerus when the arm is extended on olecranon appendages and outgrowth process. The 23 is the trochlear notch, is a large depression formed by the olecranon and the cophnoid process, serving the articulation with the trochlea and the humerus, which goes right here and right here for the olecranon process. The radius, which is lastly right there, the radius is the lateral bone of the proximal part of the radius and has a disc-like hand that articulates with the capitulum of the numerus. And I think that's it. So this is everything